Namaskar, a warm welcome to you all in today's episode of learning different aspects of playing sitar. So far we have discussed very important prerequisite techniques for playing sitar, including to know the instrument, the different parts of sitar, how to tune, how to develop the sense of tuning, right hand position, the baitak, the way to hold the instrument, etc. Today we are discussing a very important aspect of playing sitar, the left hand technique. The left hand technique is so important that it actually changes the sound. With the right hand we produce the sound by the strokes on different strings, and on left hand on the string you can see on the fretboard there are different metallic frets, and when we shift our left hand from one fret to another and we get different notes out of it. So to produce different notes on sitar, role of left hand is extremely important. We will quickly discuss the science behind it. As we know, the note which is being produced and its pitch is dependent on the length of the string which is vibrating. So you see the taraf, for the taraf strings, once the length is higher, that the pitch is it is a low pitch sound. So this is lower octave, mi, and it is a higher octave bass. So the length of this particular string is from here to here, which is vibrating. So it is high pitch sound, and the one which is the length is the most among the taraf strings, it is having the lowest pitch. Similarly, the lowest the string which is tuned to the lowest pitch is this one. So its length is the highest. So it is not placed here, but it is placed here so that the length is high. And also for instruments also, you see the Veenas, Surbahar, which are low pitch instruments, their size is very high. And if you want sitar of very high pitch, maybe if D sharp or E, if you require for your recording requirement or whatever reason, generally sitar is not played in that high pitch. But if you need any customized instrument, if you go to the maker and share your specification, they will recommend to have a smaller instrument so that the pitch becomes higher, because eventually the length of the string which will vibrate will be lesser. Now the low pitch sound, and gradually we are moving our hand closer to the bridge. The pitch gets higher. What happens, you see, this is the bridge. Okay, so the part which is vibrating is from here to here. Okay, so this part is getting vibrated based on our left hand position. So if we are placing our finger on sa fret, this part is not vibrating, only from this part onward it is vibrating. Okay, and the placement of the finger is also very important. We should place just at the corner of the fret to allow it to vibrate, because these frets also work as mini bridges. And once we are pressing, I will make it a little closer so that you can understand. Once we are placing our finger here, then the string passes to the small surface of the fret from here, right? So it passes through this surface and it gets its space to vibrate. If we place our finger on top of the fret, you will get a muffled sound, pop 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 type of sound, right? Because it is not getting its adequate place to vibrate, because we are actually suppressing it by pushing on top of the fret. So it is a very particular position where we have to keep our fingertip, be it forefinger, be it second finger, middle finger, right? So that's the science behind and exact technique for left hand. Now the posture of the left hand, how it should be placed, whether it should be placed like this or this or this, and also the finger shape. My opinion is you need to keep it very natural, without any kind of stiffness, without any kind of additional bend. So our hand is like this. Once you are pressing our hand, it is like this. The fingers are not, stiff or hard in between these joints. Should be very flexible, natural. Okay, this natural curvature should be there. Okay, and once we place our finger, we should press the string against the fret body, and we should not give in any additional stress or force. It does not help, because we have to move our finger across the fretboard very fast at some point. So if we hold it very tight, then we will not be able to move it. Okay, and you see, from the fretboard, this dand as we call it, the fingers are placed like this, and the thumb tip is placed in the back side like this. So we should not, this curve should not touch the sitar body. Okay, so it should actually hang like this with two support fingertips, these two fingertips on sitar fret, and this thumb just touching the sitar body, because it needs some support. Otherwise we will not get the strength. If we do like this, if we just keep the thumb away, so we don't have any support. So it is again physics, Newton's third law. We are giving some little we are touching this sitar body, and sitar body is giving some force back to our hand, which is helping us to pull the meends when we will actually bend the string like this, which is called meend. So for that also we need some strength. So if it is not, this support is not there, the thumb support is not there on the sitar body, we can't pull the meends also, because it requires some strength, right? So the finger should be natural, it should have the natural curve, and once we are playing with our forefinger, our middle finger should not be away. Then you have to bring it back. You need additional task to bring it back and take it away. So that is not required. It can remain very close to the string, so that when its turn comes, so that it can jump very easily and very quickly without any kind of additional effort. That's about the posture of the hand. Now the position of the hand, as we discussed, they have position and posture, and the remaining two fingers should not remain away. The remaining finger should not remain away. Then you will lose the strength of your hand. So these two fingers are not having any role to play sitar, but direct role to play sitar, but their position and posture should be such so that this strength we get to pull the string and to move the string. If it is away, then you will not be able to move it very fast. Now, a very tricky question which comes, many people ask me whether to use, other than this forefinger and middle finger, whether to use third finger while playing sitar, because they have reference of many great sitar masters who have used third fingers while playing. But my suggestion to my students is, if you can play with two fingers, if you can cover your entire playing with your two fingers, there is no need of using third finger. If you can't, then you can think of using third finger. But if you can, if your hand is having your fingers are long enough to cover the distance of two consecutive frets, and if you can manage by playing two fingers, there is no need of using third finger, which I also follow. So posture, position, and placement of the fingers, placement of hand. And sometimes people ask, if the distance between the fret is too high, then how we will cover with two fingers, right? For an example, the ragas like Abhogi or Hamswadhani or Kalavati, where we have to play frets with long distance. For an example, Sa Ga Pa Ga Sa. So if you cannot cover with two fingers, then always you have the provision to move your overall hand like this. Okay? like this you can do. So if you cannot cover the big distance by stretching your finger, then you have the permission to move the hand. And you see, this movement, once we move across the fretboard, this movement also, this part is fixed. Okay, so this joint, this elbow joint and wrist joint plays the role for this movement. Okay, so we don't do like this, or we don't move our body. We adjust this movement from the elbow joint itself, right? For an example, if I play Sapat practice, cross the fretboard, I'm playing very slowly, you see. So this part is not moving at all. So it is being we are playing the frets in the middle octave, particularly from Sa to Pa, our finger position is kind of perpendicular to the string. But when we are going lower notes, then you see there is a little curve, little angle which left hand is having, the wrist is having with the sitar body, right? Because we can't do perpendicular, then we have to move our body like this. So hand needs to be flexible in terms of the position of the fret. So here our hand wrist is bending little bit like this, you see. And while we are playing in the middle octave, our finger is perpendicular with the string. And when we are going here, then again some curvature is happening like this, you see, because we are going to the higher notes and its position is here. So your hand and finger needs to be flexible based on the fret position. The thumb rule is, if you can manage with the least movement of your body part, then it is the best. So if you can manage with your finger, please manage with your finger. If finger can't manage something, then involve your wrist. If your wrist can't manage anything, then utilize your elbow joint. That's it. It should not go till here. So for right hand also the thumb rule was the same. This particular joint we utilize the most, then this joint, then this joint, then this joint, and this joint does not have, the elbow joint does not have any role for playing right hand, for doing any right hand technique, right? So which we have already discussed in our previous episode. So that's about the posture, position and placement of hand and finger. Now many people ask me, many students ask me that what should be the proper position of the groove of our left hand, the nishan of the string, right? So I use this part, it should not be very close to the nail and it should not be very down. Okay, so it should be an optimal position for forefinger and middle finger both. I will share, recently I have got a couple of pictures. One is both the hands of Ustad VILAYAT Khan, or right hand and left hand position, that I will share in my blog, and I will give the description in the description box of these videos, where you can see what is the perfect position of the posture and the placement of right and left hand on sitar. I will share that. And probably Raghu Rai clicked one photo of Pandit Ravi Shankar ji, where he has shown the Mizrab groove of right hand and the string groove of the left hand. I think that is the ideal position. So both the pictures, hands of Pandit Ravi Shankar ji and Ustad Vilayat Khan sir, both I will share in my blog post, and I will share the link in this description box of this video. If you want to see, please have a look into it. You will have a clear idea about right and left hand placement, and also the position of the grooves of the strings of left hand and the groove of the mizrab, where the mizrab needs to be put on right hand. Yeah, I think the shape of hand we have discussed. It should be natural and it should be round shaped. It should not be stiff or straight like this. If you keep it straight or bent in these joints of your left hand while playing sitar, then you will have difficulty to move your finger and also to pull the strings, because once we pull the strings to play Meend, so for this pulling, you see how it is bending. Okay, so it is bending. If your finger is already bent here or it is straight, then it will not get any space to do this kind of reverse bending, right? So it has to be natural and curved like this, so that you can, when if required, then you can bend like this. And we already discussed about the shape of the other fingers, and the curve of the hand should be same. You can think of as the curvature of the fret. So it is similar. Shape of hand and the movement of the hand, which we partially discussed. Okay, another very important point where I see students to struggle to achieve continuous sound on sitar, right? Once the beginners play, I see here one thing is to be understood. There are three things which get into touch for production of the sound of a particular note. So that those are fret, string and fingertip. While we change from one note to the another, then we shift our finger from one fret to another, right? We shift our finger from one fret to another, and that's the way the notes are also changed. While moving our finger from one fret to another with one finger itself, with the forefinger, then we should ensure that we are not hopping. The connection between the pressure which we give to push the string against the fret, it should not be released. So rather it should glide, it should not hop. Our finger should not hop over the string. Rather that pressure should be there, but our finger should glide across the string from one fret to another. So you will get the continuity of the sound. Sa re ga ma ga re sa. And when we are using the second finger at the last note, at the highest note, then we are not taking out our forefinger. This is very important. I see some people use, some students, as soon as you are taking out the forefinger, the sound will die. You will lose the continuity of the sound. So better you glide when you are using forefinger alone for few notes, then don't release the pressure from the string. And if you release the pressure, sa re ga ma pa ma ga re, and if you don't release the pressure, sa re ga ma pa ma ga re. This is not only Meend, though this technique is also another basis of Gayaki Anga, because Gayaki, once someone sings, they don't sing like sa re ga, not like that. They sing sa. The continuity of the sound, even if you play on fret, that continuity should be there. even if you are not playing Meend. So that continuity is the basis of Gayaki style, vocalized style on instrument. The continuity of the sound. Now if we are playing little faster, now you imagine if I am hopping, taking the finger out every time, so I will not be able to play in this speed. Right? So this is a very important aspect. To achieve the continuity of the sound, we should glide our finger when we are playing consecutive notes or some notes with one finger, and when we are placing the second finger at the highest point, then the forefinger should not be taken out. If we keep our forefinger on the previous fret and the second finger on the next fret, this will not be considered because sitar will consider the highest point. If we keep these two fingers and again third finger here, sitar will consider the highest point. It will ignore the previous position of the previous fingers. That is the science. So don't worry, if you place your forefinger on the previous fret, it will not play any role if you are having the second finger on the next fret. Rather, it will be easier for you if you have some plan to go back. So once you are putting your second finger, you are getting pa, and once you are taking it off, you are automatically getting ma without doing anything else. So having your forefinger in the previous fret is always helpful in that way. Some people ask me, when we pull Meend, then where we have to keep our forefinger? Because we generally pull Meend with two fingers, because the strength of the string pulling gets distributed across two fingers. So for one finger the strength is less because the strength is distributed between two fingers. If you can place your forefinger on the previous fret, because if you are playing any gamak in the tan movement, then it is easier to go back to the previous fret automatically without doing any additional work. So once I am ga ga re ga ma pa ma ga re sa, once I am ga ga re ga ma pa ma ga re, and then I am taking out of my second finger and I am automatically getting sa without moving it. If I am doing, then I have to do a little additional task to shift our forefinger to the previous fret, reading the tan. So if you can manage by playing, placing your forefinger in the previous note and second finger in the next note, and do gamak or Meend, it is preferable. But if you can't, if you find it difficult, then you can place two fingers together, because there are many great maestros who use like this. I have seen they combine these two fingers to pull the string. Probably the strength is distributed better way if we place them together. So based on the situation and scenario, if you see you are pulling very long Meend, then place those two fingers together, right? And if you are playing a short Meend, then you can make it apart across two frets. And so based on situation and scenario, you can decide on the fly which technique is to be used. Movement, we have discussed the vertical movement for the Meend movement and horizontal movement. Now when to use second finger, that is also a very tricky question, and it takes some time to understand to some students in the beginner level. We use our second finger, middle finger, only at the highest point before we go back to the previous note. For an example, once we play sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa ni dha pa ma ga re sa, the tar saptak sa is the highest point, so there we use our second finger, as we all know. One student came who was playing this same thing. Difficult to play if you don't have the habit. So in some situations people use this technique, but not always, and it is not recommended, to be honest, because it actually breaks the continuity of the flow. jerk. So if you want to give that effect as your added beauty to your tan, sometimes you can use this, but otherwise you should use this thumb rule. We should use second finger or the middle finger only at the highest point. Now, to understand the highest point, there are few concepts which I would like to explain, because there are some confusion. Sometimes people think sa re ga ma pa da ni sa da ni pa da ma pa ga ma re ga sa re ni sa. So at the only tar saptak sa they use second finger, because for the overall movement tar saptak sa is the highest point. Actually, this should be used. This is wrong. This is wrong. So this rule is not for the overall movement. Whenever you are going back to the previous note, then our second finger needs to be used. Like sa is my highest point, then ni sa da ni. After this ni, we are not going to sa. We are going to previous note. So at that particular point, ni is my highest point. Then after this dha, I am not going to ni or sa, the higher notes. We are not going to. We are going to the lower note. So at that point, my highest point is dha. So at that particular point, whatever highest point is there, we need to use our second finger. So this is the correct technique. Another example, sa re ga ma pa ma ga re sa. Pa is the highest point, right? Now sa re ga ma pa ma ga re sa. Here also this ma also we need to use second finger, because after this ma we are not going to pa, we are going to the lower notes. Sa re ga ma pa ma ga re sa. So we were in re. Again we decided to go to ga. So at that point ga is the highest point, because we are not going beyond ga in that segment. This is the correct finger technique, not. This is not correct. Correct one. I hope this clarifies. If you have any doubt with usage of second finger or any other aspect, if you have any question, do write to me, or drop an email to me, or you can drop a comment in the comment box of this video. Placement of finger for playing Meend, also we have discussed whether we have to put them together or whether we have to stretch them. And while playing Meend, these two fingers should be curved. If you see, if we keep these fingers away, then you will not get adequate strength for pulling strings. So they should be together and in curvature shaped, so that you get this strength of pulling Meend. So you see, they don't have direct role to play Meend, but they have indirect role to supply power, adequate strength for this part to pull Meend. So the posture and position of this remaining two fingers, ring finger and little finger, is also very important. Last part is the string change. Actually, there are a lot of topics, subtopics for the left hand technique. I was thinking whether to split the one video into two or not, because one video gets very long. But just to continue and to follow the flow, I thought to keep one video. So this is the last topic, while changing the strings, how the finger should be moved. And some people complain, they face problem while changing the string, the placement of the string is not always on the groove. So my suggestion will be to practice in slow speed and ensure that every time you are changing strings, your string is placed on your groove. So do it in very slow speed, and gradually you will see you will get habituated. So if I practice lower octave sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa sa ni dha pa ma ga re sa. So starting from avaroha, sa ni dha pa. So sa ni dha pa, open string ma, then ga. We use, why we are using second finger, you can ask, because in joda string, in the second string, the copper string, that is the highest note, because after ga we are not going to ma in that string, we are going to open main string for playing ma. For that reason, this ga fret we should use second finger. Again fourth finger and open joda string sa, and da, ra, da. We should use both, because while playing jod alap or jod jhala, we only use da string for playing anything on main string or joda string, and while playing tans we use da and ra. So you practice sa only with da, and then also with consecutive da ra. Sa, I am playing with da first. Sa re ga ma pa da ni sa, sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. Now only with da, da ga ma pa da ni. Just for practice, only with ra. And when we are playing in joda string, then no other string should be strummed. So we have to confine the movement of right hand in very small zone. So now, if any rag does not use ga in the ascending, for an example, desh, sa re ma pa ni sa, sa ne da pa ma ga re sa. In that case, re will be the highest point in ascending, and ga will be the highest point in descending. Accordingly, we will change our finger sequence. Sa re with second finger, because we are not playing ga on joda string in ascending. So sa re will be with second finger, because that is the highest note at that point in joda string. Then sa re ma pa ni sa, sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. If you are playing Vrindavani Sarang, then re with second finger always, because ga is fully varjit. Sa re ma pa ni sa, sa ni pa ma re sa. So these are the few use cases or some scenarios which I wanted to discuss regarding the usage of second finger while changing the string from joda to main, main to joda. And for them who play Kharaj Pancham sitar, the rule of usage of the second finger while changing the string is all the same. The principle is the same. I hope this episode is helpful for you, and we will conclude this episode because we are already more than half an hour by now. For any questions, do drop us an email in the email address provided in the description of this video, or comment in the comment box. We'll get back to you. And for them who have not yet subscribed this particular channel, please do that and click on the bell icon so that you get all the notifications of such educative and informative videos. And I wish you all the best. Stay musical and stay in tune. Thank you. Namaskar.